This case is a bit of a tricky one. Akhil Holdings held mining rights in Fiji, but the corporate arrangement was super complex. A new company, Southland Mining, was formed between three parties, and the new company purchased the mining rights. Akhil Holding was one of the owners of the new company, and its shares were held by Banque Commerciale. Later, there was a transaction where the bank transferred some of those shares. Akhil sued the other two joint venture partners and the bank, claiming that the instructions for those transfers had never been valid. Normally, there's a 6-year limitation period for cases like this, and all three defendants pleaded defences which relied on the limitation clause. Akhil Holdings only replied to the joint venture partners, alleging a breach of trust, for which there's an exemption to the limitation period. They didn't make that pleading in relation to the bank. Akhil Holdings lost the trial and appealed. In their appeal, they still sought to rely on the breach of trust, but this time against the bank. Can you see the issue? They hadn't pleaded breach of trust in the original trial, but they were now relying on that in the appeal. Chief Justice Mason and Justice Gaudron said, "The function of pleadings is to state with sufficient clarity the case that must be met. In this way, pleadings serve to ensure the basic requirement of procedural fairness that a party should have the opportunity of meeting the case against him or her and, incidentally, to define the issues for decision. The rule that, in general, relief is confined to that available on the pleadings secures a party's right to this basic requirement of procedural fairness. Accordingly, the circumstances in which a case may be decided on a base different from that disclosed by the pleadings are limited to those in which the parties have deliberately chosen some different basis for the determination of their respective rights and liabilities." The second part is important because it teaches us that at trial, the argument might well be conducted between the parties on a basis other than the pleadings, usually because the dispute has moved on since the time of the pleadings. But for this to happen, it has to be the mutual decision of the parties about where the dispute lies. One party cannot simply depart from the pleadings.